Well, what a surprise! We had a very long spree of tyrannosaurids from PNSO a couple of years ago. And of course, Haolonggood came up with its own T-Rex. Now I thought it would be a long time before I saw another tyrannosaurid, and surprisingly, Haolonggood again throws us a curveball. Today, as you can see, we're looking at their newly released Tarbosaurus. Now this dinosaur is well known enough that we can get right on with it. Now Tarbosaurus was estimated to be 10 to 12 meters or 32.8 to 39.4 feet. Accounting for the curves, I estimate the straight length of this model to be 31 centimeters or 12.2 inches, which would make this 1 to 35 for a 10.8 meter or 35.4 foot animal. At the tallest point, at the nose tip, it's 12 centimeters or 4.7 inches. And the model weighs 232 grams, that's half a pound or 8.2 ounces. Now here's the Wonder Artistic models 1 to 35 humanoid. Now here I think you can already see the very nice coloration in this one. Now although there were two, I felt the other one was a bit disappointing, a little bit too similar to many other dinosaurs we've seen. And of course, knowing Haolonggood, I wouldn't be surprised if, in hand, it does look better for those of you who got that one. Still, this is the one I got, so it's the only one I've got to show you. It's very interesting, with an inquisitive pose looking up. The fingers look a bit too long from here, but you theropod experts can comment on this. Now, what sets it apart for me really is the pose. Now it's not really easy to find interesting poses. After all, there seems to be only so many ways you can pose a two-legged dinosaur, which needs to maintain its balance as well. But I think that Haolonggood has done a very good job here. It might be sniffing the air on the hunt for prey, a mate, or just the cool breeze. Now let's take a closer look. So here you immediately see the Joker face kind of appearance around the labial area, a scheme that many will not like. But overlooking that for a bit, I think you can see the texturing. Just look at the scale detail. Now it seems like forever since I've reviewed a dinosaur from Haolonggood. It's just such a delight to see the kind of familiar skin detail I'm used to seeing when reviewing a dinosaur. Now at this stage, there's really not a lot you can critique. The eyeball does look in a rather strange direction, but there's something very cute about it. You can see the origin of the very camouflage-like pattern starting here. It doesn't really close fully. So that's as close as it can get, but it looks like a natural enough position, and given the kind of detail picked out against the white and the olive, and how good it looks, it's not a bother for me. And over the top here is of course the Tarbosaurian kind of shape you expect to see, with a much more streamlined look in the taper. Unfortunately, the paint on these keratinous structures looks like it could have been much better, appearing rather blotchy. Now, while there is some detail inside the white, the boundary between that and the olive doesn't look very good. And from here, I think you can see the effort made to infuse these whites with a bit of color, so there's at least a keratinous feel about it. The jaw now, and of course we've seen that it articulates. Whoa, just loving the kind of detail, the parallel mosaic appearance of these tessellated scales. You can even see the texture in the commissural tissue. And at this point, I think that Haolonggood is pretty much at the stage where the sculpt can't be faulted as far as detail goes. You see the teeth here looking really sharp. The painting's acceptable. And on the inside of the mouth here, look at the detail. Really very satisfyingly high level. You can see the bulges where the roots are. Now here again that detail with the different colors in the gum area. Very nice. Let's welcome back my almond to show you the intricate scale detail. This is exemplified in these scales here on the mandible. And the head has that more gracile look for sure compared to a T-Rex. Now going down the body, just look at that. Unfortunately, the one thing I don't like is that you have these white squiggles. Now these aren't as stark as what we saw many years ago, but still, the squiggles just feel so jarring against the base pattern and just unnecessary. Now these arms over here, now Tarbosaurus had proportionately the smallest arms in all the tyrannosaurids so far. I have to shout out my almond, who always has just one job to do and does it well. And while the finger lengths are certainly believable, I was hoping for a little bit more clearly diminutive structure. And even in this tiny area, you see the thoughtful mix of colors. And in this area, just look at the texturing. And the paint application is, in general of course, very well executed. And then now, as we go down, and man, if you look at that texture again, it's just crisp, you know? And look at the blend of colors here. The quality of sculpt plus paint application being so complementary is what really elevates a model. You can see how minute the scales are going down the leg. Look at the scales on the dorsum of the toes here. Now the other side. Now someone at Haolonggood really has an idée fixe on squiggles. And even this patch here, you can see the slightly different kind of scales with different sizes and the kind of pride that Haolonggood takes in its work. And the almond here to do its job. And going down the back now, with these twin white streaks here, I think I understand the effect they were going for with this, but I feel it could have been executed a little less jarringly. Other than that, it's a beautiful blend of greens, which I'd normally expect in Haolonggood's sauropod around the Tiscians. To actually see it on a theropod and on a tyrannosaurid no less, it's interesting. A quick look at the underside now. Look at these very fine scales. So all in all, a very nice model. I really like the coloration of the green here, which is the main reason I chose this variant. Not really fond of the white around the lips, like the Joker look, but hey, animals aren't always colored to cater to my selfish tastes. And those squiggles again a bit bothersome for me, and I hope it's not going to be a resurgence. So that's it for the Haolonggood Tarbosaurus here. Now next, you'll want to see comparisons, and of course the most obvious one will have to be the PNSO Tarbosaurus. And I think you can see already, this Haolonggood kind of fixes some of the issues that some people had with the PNSO. In the first place, there's this very overweight, hefty look, with the undersized looking head, perhaps a bit too longirostrine, and various other oddities. Now if you compare it to the Haolonggood, you see proportions which are less likely to be controversial. However, because I'm fascinated by puny arms, the relative size of those tiny arms in Tarbosaurus seems to be more dramatically conveyed here in the PNSO versus the Haolonggood. Again, it's really impressive how far ahead of its time PNSO was in terms of the sculpting. Just look at that detail. Now of course you can see there's a different kind of detail, more crisp, a bit sharper. And really if you look at that massive girth here, compared to something more conventional here, I'd say that the Haolonggood is probably going to be your favorite. And I think here, from this foreshortened angle, you also see what really disturbed people about the PNSO proportions. And those of you who have, of course, the Haolonggood T-Rex will want to see how it compares. So here's the brown. I think the colors here complement each other very nicely. And for those of you who have the more psychedelic blue, and while I do wish the T-Rex was a bit bigger, it certainly is appreciably larger in terms of volume and size than the Tarbosaurus. And the expected differences between T-Rex and Tarbosaurus are sufficiently brought out. Now of course there's a rumored version 3 of the Haolonggood T-Rex, so let's hope that that one is going to be bigger. Now, meanwhile, you can also see here the PNSO T-Rex Wilson and the PNSO Cameron. So that's pretty much it for the Haolonggood Tarbosaurus. Now this was an unexpected surprise. I really didn't like the color on the other variant, felt it was a bit repetitive, but now that I have this one, in terms of the overall form, the general coloration, minus the squiggles, the blending or the smooth transitions of color, this is the one you'll be happier displaying than the PNSO. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.